Hi, I'm Mehul Hari with Developer Express. In this video, we're going to take a look at multiple columns feature of the ASPxListBox and ComboBox. Now, this is a new feature that allows you to display multiple columns within the ASPxListBox or the ComboBox. So this feature has a lot of potential, and I think it allows you to use it in places where you can normally use a grid but don't need all the features of the grid. So let's take a look.
One of the most requested features for our list box and our combo box was the ability to represent data in several columns, therefore to show multiple columns within the list box and the combo box. And we provided a workaround initially that lets you use a grid view, button edit control, and a pop-up control, so that you'd have a button edit control where a custom button, when you clicked it, would have a pop-up that showed an ASPX grid view within it. Now, while this workaround is useful, it's not really easy to implement because it uses several controls and you have to do a bit of coding to get it work. So the great news is that the ASPxListBox and ComboBox now support it natively. So let's see how we can set it up. Now, I've started by creating a blank website here and adding the northwind.mdp file that you can find in our demos folder. Let's start with the ASPxListBox. I'll drop an access data source and configure it to point to the products table of the Northwind database. Do a quick test. Now let's add an ASPxListBox. One of the first things you'll notice in the smart tag is the columns property. The columns allows you to display multiple columns. So first, we'll set the data source to the ASPxListBox to the access data source. And you'll see initially that there aren't any columns defined. So we'll just go ahead and define which of the columns we want to display. And here we can select which of the columns we want to display. So I'll select all four of them: product ID, product name, unit price, and units in stock. Now the first thing you'll notice right away is that this is the list box, but it looks very much like a grid view. Well, that's the great thing about it. Now you can have a list box and display these multiple columns. However, if you still need the other features of the grid, we really recommend that you use the ASPxGridView for those functions. But for simple places where you just need to show a multiple column list box, this will work out great because it'll be a smaller control, lighter control, and you're just getting at the data that you want to display. Now you still have the great client-side events, you're still able to style it. So let's take a look at this in action. So here we have our list box, we even have a scroll bar, it keeps our header in place, and we even have row highlighting as we're scrolling across the rows, and row selection. Now let's set up a ASPX combo box with multiple columns. The first thing we want to do is add another access data source, and this time we'll point it to the categories table of the Northwind database. I will just select a few items like category name and description. Test it. Everything works great. Now we can drop an ASPX combo box. And let's bind its data source to the access data source 2. And you'll see that this also has a columns property now as well. So when we select the columns, we can choose the columns we want to display. So say for example I want to display category ID and category name in the ASPX combo box. Now let's take a look at this in action. Now when I click the ASPX combo box, I have my categories, and the same as the list box, our headers are shown, as well as we have the row highlighting as well as selection. Now the first thing you'll notice is that when I selected it, it chose the left column, category ID. Let's say I wanted to use category name or another column as my selected value to be displayed in the ASPX combo box. To set the text format of the ASPX combo box, there's a special property that's been added. So scroll down to the properties of the ASPX combo box and set the text format string property. So here, this we can see right now it points to the first column. But we have the freedom to choose a second column, or if we wanted, a custom display where we can have combined ways to show multiple columns. So in this case I'll show the first column dash and the second column. And let's take a look at this in action. So now on our drop down, when I select item 4, I should see the first column as well as the second column's values. Now, this great functionality also works within the ASPX Grid View when you embed the ASPX Combo Box or ASPX List Box within it.
So as you saw, the multiple columns feature can be implemented using the new columns property of the ASPX List Box or the Combo Box. Now, I should mention that this columns property is only for data-bound editors of the ASPX List Box or Combo Box, and you can also use these embedded within the ASPX Grid View. Thanks for watching.